Hey guys, it's Ben with Myers Woodshop, and this is my shop tour 2019. This is my shop behind me. I just recently added on the left side, so let's go inside and see what's in there. Alright, so we're going to swing it around, and we're going to start on the other side of the shop. And this is behind the door when you walk in. We have this little nook. What happened was this was two different pieces or I had that side of the shop built and we expanded, so I have to have some sort of wall, so that basically became some framing, some shelving in here. So we got our rolling cart full of things inside, all the little doodads. We have our electrical stuff. I have some wood burning, some clamping stuff, and then on the bottom I have gloves and sandpaper and stuff like that. And this rolls. And then on top is my favorite sander of all time. It is the rigid belt oscillating sander. So this belt changes out for an oscillating spindle sander, which is really nice. I had a few different ones and sold them all and just ended up using this one, and this has satisfied all of my needs so far. So up on this shelf we have all of the table saw safety. We have the gripper, the feather bow products, featherboard. And then I have Milwaukee ratchet and a Milwaukee Dremel tool, basically. And then up above that, this is where my dust collection is. You can see my shop vac is over in the corner, up and out of the way. And then I have the Oneida Dust Deputy hooked up there with a metal bucket. And then I just have, if you follow along, this is my one vacuum hose, and I just pull it down whenever I need to use it, hook it up to each one. I just don't have enough room in my shop to have dedicated vacuum to every machine. So we keep following along. I have my pressure pot, I have my Workshop 3000, an electrical cord bucket, have a bunch of the random hand tools, and then some of the Incra fences up here. And as you keep going along the roof on this side, that's kind of the lean-to style. The nice thing about the overhang outside is I'm able to keep big long pieces of wood I can store up in there. So that's kind of following all the way down across. Right below that, I have my double doors. That way, if I have something really big I need to wheel in and out of the shop, I can just open it up and boom. And it's really nice in the summer when it's nice out. I have a huge work area outside, and I have a really nice area to bring things in and out. And then over in this corner, I have my Grizzly Bandsaw. It's the 14-inch. I have the riser in it. I also have the aftermarket, well, the Grizzly branded aftermarket fence with the resaw blade. Right now I have the small blade in there for easy cuts, and then I have the Laguna 3/4-inch resaw blade. That thing cuts through like butter. Of course, every machine is on wheels, so I have the universal base so I can wheel this around the shop at any point. Alright, so up here we have my really long clamps, the Harbor Freight clamps. I think they're the 60-inch clamps, and then I have some pipe clamps, and I made a really ingenious way of just an L bracket of metal, and they're clamped to that, and that's how I hang them. And then down below I have my table saw. This is the Delta. If you go to Lowe's, this is the only high-end table saw they have, and it's not really high-end, it's just the best one I can buy for my money. It's about $600, and so far I've really liked it. The only negative is that the base only rolls left or right, not forward, and for me that really stinks, because if I want to roll it out of where it is, I have to turn it, and it bangs a bunch of stuff. And I really wish it pulled forward. I have to drag it, and then I can roll it anywhere I want in my shop. And I store my table saw sled right on top because I don't really have another place to store it. So if you saw before I did this first video, if you've been following me along on social media, you've seen I had a giant outfeed table. That just took up too much room in here, and I didn't really use it that much, so I got rid of that into my buddy Brian's video, and if you check out his shop tour, you'll be able to see that in his video. So let's follow along right behind. This is my clamp wall. These are all my clamps. I built this little clamp holder, and I have my jet clamps, Bora clamps, Irwin click clamps, and some Bessie clamps. And right above that is all my power station. Charges all my batteries above there. So right next to that is all the F-style clamps on the Rockler clamp holder. And then it's kind of odd that this corner of the shop has white wall, but I do a lot of CNC work and a lot of videos, so I wanted a nicer background other than just the brown. So this is the Poco 3 XXL. I have it pretty standard the way it comes from factory. I have the Suck It dust boot on there, and then I have my custom-made aftermarket clamps with custom wasteboard, and you can check out my blog for any of those files. I've made this table. It used to be a solid table all the way across, but there are times when I need to move this out and either blow off all the dust or run something really long through this. So I made it on a rolling table. Of course, when you have a small shop, everything needs to be on wheels. Down below, the only thing I'm storing is my vise from Ace, and then down below that, I have my Cut-Tech joiner. It's really good. I don't use it very often, but when I do, it's handled everything I've needed it to. So this is my Skill drill press. I hate it. It's awful. It's the cheap one at Lowe's, but it does work. I have the Woodpecker's fence and table. I did have to modify it. I cut it out in here because it's really made for a bigger drill press, but this is what I can fit in my shop, so I made a modification. So if you have a small one like this, you can modify it for it to work. Up above that, I have all the random things that don't fit in a drawer that I want to grab, and this is of course hung on the wall control. And down below, I have the Craig Foreman. This makes pocket holes. It makes it really fast, and it is well worth the money. I have just stuff piled up above there, wood that I use on the CNC. And then if we move down below that shelf, I have my Dewalt planer, lunchbox planer. I have the vacuum that I pretty much exclusively use with the CNC. This is the Fine Turbo 1. And then over here I have a bunch of things. We have all of my brad nails in the top drawer. And then in the middle drawer I have a lot of my lathe tools, all my lathe accessories. And then down below I store a lot of like mineral spirits and wax and all that kind of thing down in that drawer. And then we got my trash can down below this middle divider, and I hold all my tape measures and pencils and markers in the center. Alright, so up above all that, if you look up here, we have all of my paint products, all the stains and everything on this one shelf. And then getting over to the corner is kind of my resin working boxes. And then above that I store my electrical cords, my tape, and then we'll span over through the middle. You'll see my ladder is hung right here. I have an extension power plug, and then above that is my air purifier by Wen. I've done a video on that. If you want to check that out, take a look. Right above that is my air compressor hose. It retracts, it comes back. I have my air compressor stored on the other side of the shop, but I really love this. It gets everything out of the way. And then after we're done with that, we're right back to where we started up above with my vacuum system. I forgot to tell you, above the CNC, I have a camera and an outlet that's controlled by Wi-Fi. And this is so if I'm using the CNC and I need to step inside or step away for a minute, I can make sure that everything is running right and there's no problems. If you are going to walk away from your CNC, I definitely suggest to have a Wi-Fi. Also, if you want to come steal stuff, I'll catch you on my camera. Alright, so we're going to walk over this way, and then right under where the ladder was, we're going into the next part of the shop, and this is where I have all these little hand clamps, Festool clamps, micro jig clamps, and then we're going up above this little area that is kind of the transition between the two sides of the shops. I hold my Festool track saw rail, the TSO Products rail guides that go with the track saw, and then we'll come over here, and now we're at the front of the shop where we walked in. On this back wall, it's about to be changed. I got some more wall control coming in for this side, but this is where I hold all of my screws, all my little doodads, all those things that you have no place to where to put them except for these kind of deals. I have my files and stuff. And then right over here, I have a whiteboard that my son took over. This is a chicken leg, I had to ask him. But if I have any customer orders, I can just throw it down and keep up with that on this whiteboard. So move over to the front right corner of the shop. This is where a lot of my YouTube videos start. I finished this off just like the other corner with some white so I'd have a nice background. Got my banner over here. Then we'll move over to this side. I have more wall control, and this is kind of where I keep all my rulers. I have the Dewalt fan, rigid light, rigid router, and then down here I keep all my woodpecker stuff hanging because you got to display that pretty proudly. Chisels, little hand saws, and then this is one of the tools I'm really proud of. Of course, it's on rollers. This is the Supermax Drum Sander 1632. I use this a lot now, especially with the CNC. It helps clean up stuff, and you don't have to worry about doing it by hand. This cut 30 minutes of work down to 2. If you want a drum sander, I highly recommend this drum sander. I love it. And I did pay for this with my own money, for sure. Down below that, I have my Fuji sprayer. Let me spin it around so you can see it. This is the Fuji Q5 Platinum. I try to not paint anything if I can get away with it, but this one makes it a whole lot easier and absolutely sprays like butter and glass. And then in this box has all the accessories for that sprayer. So we'll shove that back where it goes, and then again we're on rollers. So I'm pulling this out. This is my router table. This is by Mlcs and Eagle America. I love this router table. It is fantastic. So inside the router I'm using is the Dewalt 2¼ horsepower, and it sits in the new Mlcs router lift. All right, so normally you got to use a hand crank to raise these and lower these, but this is electric, so we got a foot pad where I can raise it up or I can lower it down with using the foot. But even the cooler thing about this is that this is actually Bluetooth enabled, so if you go up to the pad that you have and we connect this iPad, or if we connect this Android device to it, we can actually control from this pad, raise and lower it. And if we need to move a 16th, a 32nd at any one time, we can just tap where we need it to go and it will remember. This is the coolest technology I have in my shop, and it's fantastic. MLCS. I was given this to review and make some videos for them, so if you haven't, go ahead and check them out. Alright, so down below in the storage unit I have my Dewalt power plant. This is essentially a 4 charger, or you can turn it into a generator. It'll run off these batteries, and I think it'll run a fridge for about 8 hours. So that's where I charge all my Dewalt batteries. I'm a Dewalt guy typically, and I love them a lot. So right next to that I store my miter saw on this Bora Portamate. These wings flip out, this flips over, and then it becomes a miter saw station, and when not in use it looks just like this, and it folds up and becomes another workspace and essentially holds my junk for now. So above that we have my drill station. I have all my drills. I got a Fuel Milwaukee, Fuel DeWalt, the Ryobi Airstrike, some glue guns from Surebonder, and then all of my other hand tools, power tools. So if you come over there, I have some extra hoses, and then my headphones, and then we'll keep swinging around. This is kind of my desk area. This is where I do a lot of computer work. And in the corner, I just got a 3D printer this year. This is the Ender 3 by Creality. It is under $200. There's a live unboxing on my channel, so if you like that, check it out. I love that thing, and it makes great prints. So above that, I have my socket sets. This is a case for all my glue. I have the Graco cordless handheld sprayer, and then on there I store all of my Festool tools. I have the Rotex, the Pro 5, the Jigsaw. This is where I keep all my drill bits. And then I have the track saw, the Domino 500, and all the dominoes for it. And then in the center you see I have a subwoofer, and that goes with my TV. Of course I have to have a shop TV, And I also have an Xbox out here and TiVo, so it is a fully functioning media center in the center of this. And then down below that, I keep my computer. This is where I do a lot of my computer work, CNC work. So I sit here, and then we have enough room for another workstation if that needs be. Below that, I have a fridge. I am not a beer drinker. I just have a lot of water and apparently some ketchup from the house in there. And below that, I'm storing all the filament for my 3D printer. You gotta have a bunch of different colors. And then over here in this corner, I have the mic where I do all of my voiceovers for YouTube. And then I'm holding some sandpaper and my hammers. So up above my desk, this is the loft side of the shop. So you can see up here, I'm storing a lot of the household stuff. I have some cardboard for shipping any Etsy orders. Some blankets, some tarps, just kind of general home use stuff. But in the corner over here, I have my compressor, and it's brand new. It's the Cobalt Quiet Tech. It is super quiet, unbelievable. If you haven't checked that out, check that out. I love it. It's great. So if we keep spanning over on the side, this is where I have all my wood storage. I try to organize it by species. I don't have a ton of it, but this is where I keep my wood. And then if you keep going over onto the other small side of the shop of the loft, this is where I keep my bigger sheet goods and CNC stuff. And then finally up above the center is where I keep my bicycles and the rack for the kids to follow behind. So that's the shop tour of January 2019. Thanks for following along. I hope to have a whole lot more growth and more content for you this year. And we'll see you next time.